Welcome to Sensual Sequence Contents, home of romance and sensual life stories received and shared. Tonight we take you into a story you won't forget, where love is never what it seems. The night started like any other. My husband Harvey was excited to have his old college friend Nelson over for dinner. He had talked about him for years, sharing stories about their wild college days, their late-night study sessions and the bond they had built over time. I had never met Nelson in person before as he was out of the country working. He only flew into town for a few days on business and he decided to check on Harvey, but I felt like I already knew him. When he arrived, I was struck by how effortlessly charming he was. He had an easy smile, the kind that made people feel instantly comfortable, and a presence that naturally drew attention. The evening was warm and filled with laughter. Over dinner, Harvey and Nelson reminisced about their past, telling stories that made us all laugh until our stomach hurt. Nelson had a way of storytelling that made everything feel alive, and even though I wasn't a part of their history, I found myself captivated. The storm outside grew heavier as the night went on. Thunder rumbling in the distance and the soft patter of rain against the windows made our home feel even cozier. Just as we were finishing our meal, the lights flickered and then went out completely. The house was plunged into darkness and I felt an immediate sense of unease out of Harvey. He grabbed his phone checking for updates. The power outage was widespread and the roads were starting to flood. It was clear that Nelson wouldn't be able to leave that night. Harvey didn't hesitate to offer him the guest room. Nelson seemed reluctant at first, but eventually agreed as I set up the room for him. Harvey and Nelson continued catching up. They had a few drinks, laughing over old memories, but soon my husband's exhaustion caught up with him. He yawned, stretching his arms before turning to me with a tired smile. "I think I'm going to call it a night," he said. "You two can stay up if you want." I nodded, watching as he disappeared down the hallway to our bedroom. Nelson and I remained in the dim candlelight of the living room. The atmosphere had shifted. It was intense, but it was quiet, more intimate with the power out and the storm raging outside. It felt like we were in our own little world, disconnected from everything else. Nelson noticed my husband's old guitar sitting in the corner and picked it up, running his fingers over the strings before strumming a familiar tune. "I didn't know you played," I said, intrigued a little. He admitted music had always been his escape. "I smiled, me too," I said. He started playing and without thinking, I began to sing along. It was a song I hadn't sung in years, yet somehow the words came effortlessly. We sang together, our voices blending in a way that felt natural, almost effortless. The world outside faded and for that moment it was just us and the music. When the song ended, silence settled between us, thick with something unspoken. Nelson looked at me in a way that made my breath catch, a look that held something deeper, something neither of us had planned then, so subtly that it felt almost unintentional. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. A shiver ran down my spine and my heart pounded in my chest. It was such a small gesture, yet it felt weighted, like it carried meaning neither of us dared to acknowledge. I swallowed hard, breaking eye contact. "I should check on Harvey," I said quickly, my voice barely above a whisper. Nelson pulled his hand back instantly, nodding, "Yes, of course." I turned and walked towards the bedroom, my mind racing. Nothing had happened. Nothing at all, and yet as I lay beside my sleeping husband, my heart still pumped faster in my chest. My skin still tingled where Nelson's fingers had brushed against my hair. I knew I shouldn't think about it. It was just a fleeting moment, just a trick of a storm, the candlelight, the music, but as I stared at the ceiling in the darkness, I realized something unsettling. The next day, after the storm was over and the power came back on, my husband Harvey had asked to go get Nelson's clothes and help him do the laundry before he leaves. I wished I could say no, as I didn't want us to cross paths again before he leaves our home. I knocked on the door. "Hey Nelson, can you get me your clothes so I can put them on the machine?" I said. But there was no response. I opened the door a little and peeped in. I couldn't see him anywhere, though I heard the sound of the tap running down in the open bathroom and also heard humming from the bathroom. So maybe he didn't hear me call him, or did he want me to come in, I said to myself. While his clothes were close to the bathroom door, I rushed to pick up the clothes to leave like I was never there. I froze at the sight of Nelson's body, and some seconds later he opened his eyes and saw me staring at his body. Our eyes met each other. In my head, there were many sweet things my body wanted at that moment. I picked up the clothes and stood behind the door, closing my eyes. My thoughts went wild, went to many places as I almost ended up touching myself briefly. I quickly rushed out of Nelson's room and promised myself never to see him again. Sometimes the moments that never happen are the ones that haunt us the most, and I realized I probably never loved my husband. What do you all think happened in her mind? Hi guys. If you love romantic and intimate scenes that make your heart race, then you're in the right place. Here on Sensual Sequence, we bring you the most captivating moments filled with passion, chemistry, and pure emotion. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Let's build a community that appreciates the art of love and connection. Subscribe now and let's dive into the world of romance together.